trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, with rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda swirling, but it won't touch me. Only love around us, how it's gonna be. We keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city light.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. Hold on just a second. Okay, so hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so I just got some interesting news. It appears that Trump got the U.S. Navy to block or tried to block the Strait of Hormuz, but something has happened. We're going to get into it. Okay, so before we do, hello, DJ Big Six, Ashkan, Lillian X, Claudette. All right, let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. I see you, Claudette, Bookhorse DC. Pretty Wings is here. Just Anticipate. Chili Willie from Philly. All right, Adriana. Hold on. Okay, a Timeless is in the virtual building. Okay, let's get into it. And that's a G. Okay, so with that all being said, shout out to all of my loyal rules and everyone tuned into the Queen. And a big shout out to my moderators, because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, Des. Okay, so with that all being said, let's have a brief word from my sponsor, and then we'll get into it. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, and don't forget that she sells beard oil. So before we get started, there is a new Lego video, so let's have a look at it.
Yeah, keep that same energy. You ain't nothing but a fraud. Yo, call him what he is. Liar! Yeah, hey, loser, come closer. I'm the exposer. Fake billionaire, your whole empire opposer. You step down, another liar takes the crown. The whole system is a circus. You're just a clown. You drop fake news, sitting high in your tower, morally bankrupt, just drunk on the power. You're fired. Played your last trump card. No more aces, boy, you discarded. Look in the mirror, tell me what you see. Big ego crushed, fake reality. We covered in stone, we spell it in the fire. Ready for the truth, call him the liar. Labor of blood on your pride. Island Epstein, secrets you hide. All your crimes buried deep inside. Rotten systems, you're gonna slide. L-I-A-R. Yeah, we see you. L-I-A-R. We don't. Wait, what's up the socials? Yeah, you're hiding in fear, trying to silence every voice you don't wanna hear. From the MJ to Diana, yeah, we see how it goes. The system buries light, but the shadow always shows. Illuminati pots blood in the perjury. You lie, but the mission is Epstein fury. Yeah, round fool, yeah, the records are proof. Now we expose it all. This is April truth. Look in the mirror, tell me what you see. Big ego crushed, fake reality. We carve it in stone, we spell it in the fire. Ready for the truth, call him the liar. Labor of blood on your pride, all your crimes buried deep inside. Rotten systems, you're gonna slide, hide, hide. L-I-A-R. Yeah, we see you. L-I-A-R. We don't believe you. L-I-A-R. 13%, that's a failing grade. The world is watching, 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 watching. Liar!
Find it all so interesting, don't you? Okay, so now with that all being said, let's get into it. Okay, because here's the thing. Another woman, remember when I was talking about the lady Amanda Ungaro the other day that was going to expose Melania? And I mentioned the lady named Victoria. Well, now that lady has come out. Okay, that lady has come out and she said she's about to do a series. We're going to get into it. But before we do, let's get into this news. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Don't forget to hit that like button and double check and make sure you're still subscribed, especially if you have not received the notification. Okay, so now here is a news clip from Trump saying that Iran has not left the negotiating table. I'm sorry, I beg to differ. Okay, so let's get into it.
of Islam. Let's start with the headlines. US President Trump claims that Iran has not left the bargaining table after his announcement of blockade of Hormuz. The president predicts that Iran will come back and agree to all terms laid out by the United States. Trump says that America's Gulf allies have already begun assisting the U.S. in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump added that NATO also wants to help with the Hormuz Strait and that the UK and some other countries are sending minesweepers. Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps issue a warning claiming that any wrong move will plunge the enemy into deadly whirlpools within the strait, asserting that all transit and non-transit operations through the Strait of Hormuz are under the complete control of Iranian armed forces. Iran's state broadcaster says that 3,375 people have been killed during the US-Israeli war in the country. Citing the head of Iran's forensic medicine organization, the state broadcaster said that about 500 women were among the casualties. The Israeli military releases footage purportedly showing ongoing ground operations in Lebanon. The IDF says that the footage shows members of its 13th Battalion operating in southern Lebanon. War with Iran cost Israel nearly $11.5 billion in budgetary expenses, as per Israeli media reports. Israel's finance ministry says that the US-Israel war with Iran incurred high economic costs, including a loss of GDP and an increase in state spending. Iraq's new president, Nizar Ahmadi, formally takes office after a ceremony at the Baghdad palace. Ahmadi takes charge today after Iraqi lawmakers elect him as the head of state. Russia's Orthodox Christian patriarch blesses President Vladimir Putin during the traditional Easter liturgy in Moscow. And hundreds take to the streets of Thailand's capital, Bangkok, to celebrate the Thai New Year festival, Songkran. The holiday extends till April 15th, and the celebrations include people splashing each other with water guns.
Okay, so now Trump says that he's given the orders for the U.S. Navy to block the Strait of
We can
Hormuz.
cross to Washington, D.C. and speak with our correspondent, Fraser Jackson. So, Fraser, these were sort of kind of long posts there on social media. What else has Trump been saying?
Yeah, well, we were waiting to hear from Donald Trump, who was at a UFC fight in Miami when the news broke that the deal had fallen through, that there was no deal on the table between Iran and the US. But around 8 or so o'clock in the morning, Donald Trump taking to his Truth Social platform and announcing a naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. He said, "I have instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas." He also says that any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. And he then continued the military threats against Iran as well, saying, "Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran." So Trump here looking to flip the tables on Iran and cause them the same kind of economic hurt that they've caused the rest of the world, chiefly by cutting off their oil exports. That, of course, is a key driver of Iran's economy, but also it's going to be cutting off any imports to the country as well, whether that be food or medicine or technology or something. But Donald Trump still there, leaving on the table the looming threat of restarting the bombing campaign on Iran as well. Trump says that the US is also beginning minesweeping operations in that area. Of course, we saw those 2 US vessels make their way through the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. That was meant to be a preparatory kind of mission to see if, just to kind of get the lay of the land, to see if a wider operation was possible. But of course, this move from the US president could also prompt Iran to lash out and restart its missile strikes as well on US regional allies and assets in the region. And of course, that ceasefire deal is currently still in place. But whether that will hold now that these deal talks have fallen apart remains to be seen.
Right, Fraser, as you mentioned there, this does call into question what happens to this ceasefire that's going on. What are the wider implications for the U.S. with all of this that's been happening?
Well, of course, in the region, it's going to impact Iran significantly. Like I mentioned, the oil being one of their main drivers of their economy, but it's also going to therefore have a ripple effect on the rest of the oil market as well, further impacting oil prices worldwide and by extension, petrol prices as well. That really has become a yardstick here in the United States for how people feel the economy is doing. And the fact that petrol in some places might go over $5 a gallon is really making people worry here. Of course, this is a midterm year, an election year here in the United States, and Donald Trump has long used the price of petrol again as a yardstick to beat his political opponents with. But now the shoe is on the other foot, and Donald Trump is the one in charge of the economy, and he has tried to get ahead of this by telling people that it's going to be a short-term economic pain for a long-term gain when it comes to Iran. But of course, that is easier said than done.
Yeah, he says easier said than done when people are feeling the pinch in their pockets. It absolutely is easier said than done, because from what I hear, and we're about to go to the receipts, Iran dropped footage. Okay, supposedly they sent the U.S. Navy running. Please pay attention. They had to retreat. I don't know what Trump was thinking, but clearly not very much. Okay, let's get into it.
Navy warship 121. This is Sepah Navy station. You must alter course and go back to the Indian Ocean immediately. If you don't obey my order, you will be targeted. Out.
Iran's state media, Press TV, has released what it calls proof of a dramatic naval confrontation in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has accused the United States of staging what it calls a failed propaganda stunt. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has shared footage showing its forces warning a U.S. warship attempting to pass through the strait. Tehran claims the vessel seen in the video was forced to turn back. There were two ships identified as the USS Michael Murphy, DDG-112, and USS Frank E. Peterson, Jr., DDG-121, both advanced Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. According to the report, the U.S. vessels came within minutes of destruction after Iranian cruise missiles allegedly locked onto them and attack drones were deployed overhead.
U.S. Navy warship 121. This is Sepah Navy station. You must alter course and go back to the Indian Ocean immediately. If you don't obey my order, you will be targeted. Out.
This is Coalition Warship 121, engaged in transit passage in accordance with international law. No challenge is attended to you.
U.S. Navy warship transiting in the vicinity for J report and Oman Sea. This is Sepah Navy. This is Sepah Navy. Last warning, last warning, last warning.
He was close to High Island Port.
Attention all vessels, attention all vessels, attention all vessels in Oman Sea. This is Iranian Sepah Navy. If you see any warship in your vicinity, keep a distance more than 10 miles from them, because I'm ready to open fire on them without any warning.
The incident reportedly unfolded at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, where Iranian forces issued a 30-minute ultimatum. The report claims the U.S. ships attempted deception, switching off tracking systems and spoofing identities to appear as commercial vessels from Oman. But Iranian forces say they detected the move early, intercepting the destroyers with patrol vessels and flying drones directly overhead. One of the destroyers allegedly tried to push forward until it was warned again on international radio. Moments later, both U.S. vessels reportedly retreated. Iran claims the ships fully complied with IRGC warnings. The report alleges the operation was designed to test Iran's naval readiness, exploit the ceasefire, and influence high-stakes U.S.-Iran talks in Islamabad. Those talks, held under Pakistani mediation, collapsed after nearly 21 hours with no breakthrough. Iranian forces also issued a broader alert, ordering all nearby vessels to stay at least 10 miles away to avoid collateral damage in case of a strike. A senior Iranian military official has now rejected U.S. claims entirely, insisting that only Iran controls access to the Strait of Hormuz. However, these claims come solely from Iranian state media and have not been independently verified.
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built an app.
Iran is hitting back, and hard, at threats to control the world's most critical oil choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran is calling it a self-made problem. Iran says any blockade won't solve anything. It will only make matters worse. Iran's message is blunt. A blockade doesn't open routes, it shuts them down. The only way forward, Tehran insists, is diplomacy, not domination. A direct jab at Donald Trump, who has floated aggressive control measures over the strait. The start to all of this was once again the U.S. President Donald Trump's cryptic message. Hours after U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance announced the peace negotiations between Washington and Tehran had collapsed, Trump gave a strong hint about what his next step would be as he signaled an intense military action against Iran. Taking to Truth Social, Trump reposted an article from the website Just the News, which shed light on what actions the president could take against Tehran after the talks yielded no results. The article also highlighted how the U.S. Navy could exert control over the Strait of Hormuz.
Trump looks like he's all out of options. He just needs to give it up. He needs to give it up. And here's the thing. Now, while J.D. Vance was over there trying to make negotiations with his shady self, this is what Trump was doing. This is what y'all's president was doing. Pay attention. Going to the UFC. All right? I find it all so interesting. So this was more important to him than negotiations, but we're supposed to take him seriously? This is what Trump's doing out there having a good time while everybody else, is just concerned and stressed out and all of that. And then he's out there getting our soldiers killed. Okay. Hold on. Let's go to this report from CNN. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you. DJ Big Six said lame UFC. Well, he loves it, apparently.
Posted on Truth Social, quote, effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. Let us try to understand how a blockade would work. I'm joined by Admiral James Stavridis, former NATO Supreme Commander. Jim, how you've traversed these straits dozens, maybe hundreds of times. Tell us how a blockade would work and how much American naval power would be required to make it work.
Well, I certainly agree with one thing the president said was the United States Navy is the finest in the world. I'll take that. But this is not trivial work. Any blockade is difficult because it's an open seaway. Historically, we are enormous supporters of freedom of navigation. So when you conduct a blockade, it is an act of war. And it is something that has grave consequence in terms of how you execute it. As to how many ships you would need, I'd say if I were the admiral in command and Admiral Brad Cooper is the CENTCOM commander, he will probably want to put 2 aircraft carrier strike groups. So that's 2 carriers. So he has plenty of air cover up above him. And then he'll want about a dozen destroyers and frigates. All of this would be arrayed in the southern part of the Gulf. All the way down outside the Gulf would be the U.S. forces. And then inside the Gulf, Fareed, you've got probably half a dozen American warships, and you'd want to bring in the Emirati Navy, the Saudi Navy. So you'd try and bottle it up on both sides. Bottom line, this is a big task, and it's a big gamble. So final thought here. what's the play? Why are we doing this? I think is going to be the question on most people's minds. And it's an economic squeeze. So if you think of this on a scale that runs from doing nothing, walking away from the table, ceasing hostilities, that runs to destroying the civilization of Iran, an economic blockade like this is right in the middle. It puts economic pressure on Tehran without destroying the oil facilities, which you'd want to preserve into the future. So big, complicated undertaking, hardly a trivial move on the chessboard we've been watching.
And so far, Jim, Iran has found asymmetrical ways, often quite cheap, to to maintain its control of the strait by essentially just spooking insurance companies enough that there is no traffic. Is there an asymmetric? Is there something the Iranians can do? What do you imagine would be their kind of countermeasure?
Let's do it from the inside out. So let's look at the strait itself. The asymmetric play there would be smuggling. It would be trying to run the blockade. Think what the Confederate South did in the United States when Abraham Lincoln put an enormous blockade around the entire southern states. It's pretty porous. And so they could certainly try smuggling. That'll be very difficult. Secondly, they could put more mines in the water. Fortunately, CENTCOM has destroyed, according to reports, 90+% of the 5,000 pre-war mines, but Iran could put a lot more mines into the water, and they could come off small boats or dhows, which are the ubiquitous indigenous craft of the Gulf.
Okay, so thanks to him for trying to give them ideas, but none of it's going to work. Okay, they've already had to retreat. That's just what it is. All right, that's just what it is at this point. So with that all being said, let's go to this next clip because tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate as senior Iranian lawmaker Ibrahim Azizi delivered a scathing warning to the United States amid ongoing diplomatic friction. Azizi, who heads Iran's Parliamentary National Security Commission, said Tehran has entered a phase of negotiations but made it clear that there is no trust in Washington, calling the U.S. untrustworthy, particularly under the current administration led by none other than Donald Trump. Azizi, who leads Iran's parliamentary, I read that already. Anyway, he says there's no trust, and especially because Trump's in office. All right, so let's get into it. Trump is making us just all look so bad. Ashkan said ubiquitous indigenous. That's a mouthful. Yeah, sounds like a whole tongue twister.
I have a recommendation. Our recommendation is that if Americans want to avoid further damage to their reputation, they should not so closely tie themselves to the dirty and weak rope of the Zionist regime. One of the reasons why many countries, even close allies of the Americans, did not cooperate in this war was precisely due to the Americans' betrayals and their actions that went against fundamental principles, even international ones. Our duty in the Islamic Consultative Assembly does not dictate that we should simply sit here and speculate about the future, saying what has happened or what will happen. We must base our judgment on the realities on the ground and ultimately on what these negotiations achieve, what reaches a final agreement. We have now officially entered into a new phase of diplomatic negotiations. However, we must state unequivocally that we do not, under any circumstances, trust the Americans. The Americans are untrustworthy, especially their current administration, and particularly the delusional, narcissistic, and unbalanced President of America. We have absolutely no trust in them. However, our presence in these negotiations is to articulate the legitimate demands of the Iranian nation and to establish the justice of our cause on this very stage and to declare that we are both powerfully advancing on the battlefield and also in the negotiation arena, we come and make our voice heard. We believe it's highly probable the American president has gotten himself into the significant mess concerning Epstein, and this very mess he's created regarding Epstein It has ensnared this, caught it in the grip of the Zionist regime, and perhaps now it is actually, in a certain manner, reluctantly pursuing this, that, well, if that he shouldn't follow the Zionist regime's demands. Perhaps he believes that some of his disgraceful and unethical documents related to Epstein will be exposed, and the scandal he has caused will be revealed to Americans, the people of America, and indeed the entire world. Perhaps this current behavior is, in fact, a direct consequence of a trap they laid for him in the past, leaving him with no other choice but to act this way now. We have a recommendation. Our recommendation is that if Americans want to avoid further damage to their reputation, they should not so closely tie themselves to the dirty and weak rope of the Zionist regime.
The police officer at the scene told me to.
It isn't looking good, folks. It is not looking good. Okay, so listen to this. Listen, we're going to take a pause from that for a minute and get into this stuff about Melania, okay? Because it's just too juicy, all right? I mean, this is a plot twist. So, and not to mention, I see this post on X that says, ex-Brazilian model who was the wife of Donald Trump's friend threatens to expose the American president and Melania, saying, I have nothing left to lose. Yikes. Okay. All nefarious. I'm going to share my screen so we can go to this TikTok that I just did about the new whistleblower who has just come out saying that she's going to expose them too. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So it looks like things are getting a whole lot worse for Melania and Trump. Another woman has come forward with allegations about Melania's ties to Epstein. And this seems to be in reaction to the speech that the First Lady gave days ago. Let's get into it. Now, this woman by the name of Victoria says that she has been personally involved with certain events surrounding the Epstein files, and that she also has had ties to model agent Paolo Zampalli. Please pay attention. She announced that she's going to be starting a series to seek justice and to speak out against Melania Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Jean-Luc Brunel, and others. Please pay attention. The Victoria says that she and others have been going through this for years, and that it's time to dispel the lies, and that the perpetrators all need to be held accountable. Please pay attention.
I'm barely awake. I'm in like zero sleep, but just like given the situation. But I did get some good news this morning. So WATO, which is We Are the Ocean, they're gonna be investigated. And so WATO, We Are the Ocean, they are a sex trafficking and money laundering scheme that was created by Paolo Zampalli, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey Epstein. And it's a very, very bad fake company. But they are going to have to testify in Supreme Court. And even though, like, I hate Pam Bondi as Attorney General, I hated all of that. But, like, the fact that Trump can just, like, basically go out and appoint whoever he wants, I don't think that Todd Blanche is going to be any better, because Todd Blanche is his personal attorney. Complete conflict of interest. But we'll see how that goes. And that last video cut off, but Jeffrey Epstein's still alive.
Now, Melania wants us to think that this is all just lies and it's mean-spirited and people are trying to basically defame her and ruin her reputation, which I don't think that she had such a great reputation in the first place, but that's just my opinion. But nonetheless, she saying that she had nothing to do with Epstein, didn't even know him, that's where she sealed her fate. She should never have said that after all of the online stuff that we've seen, and not to mention the emails. Okay, please pay attention. In the early 2000s, Zampalli and Epstein discussed buying a modeling agency together, and then later, Zampalli was added to the now defunct Ocean Charity. He was named as a partner. Now, this was founded by Ghislaine Maxwell. Please pay attention. In a phone interview conducted by the Daily Mail, Mr. Zampalli, who is now Trump's special envoy, mind you, says that he only dealt with Epstein out of necessity. He said he was the financial person behind Victoria's Secret. I had to deal with him. That's what he said. Okay, yeah, we believe you. But anyway, he talked about that. And he also mentioned Lex Wessner, who at the time was running Victoria's Secret. And also, that's another Epstein associate. Please pay attention. I hope that after all of this, the truth absolutely comes out and that all of the victims get justice. It's all looking bad, guys. It's all looking real bad. Okay, now listen. Remember when I reported on Amanda Ungaro, they mentioned that she had done an interview. They mentioned that there was an interview done with O Globo. So I went and found that interview. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, hold on just a sec. Let me pull up this article real quick. Or actually, not this article, this report from MSNBC. Okay. MS Now. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting they changed their name. Okay, so here we go. Claudette said, what's done in the dark comes to light. Exactly.
Epstein's abuse are speaking out after Melania Trump's impromptu speech on Epstein this week. While the First Lady denied ties to the late sex offender and convicted accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell, she also called on Congress to hold public hearings for those victimized by Epstein.
Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the Congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth.
Following the remarks, a group of survivors released a statement accusing the First Lady of, quote, shifting the burden onto them. They also reminded her of their advocacy and the fact that they have been sharing their stories and demanding action for quite some time. They write in their statement, quote, asking more of them now is a deflection of responsibility, not justice. And survivors have done their part. Now it's time for those in power to do theirs. Joining us now, Haley Robson, one of the survivors of Epstein's abuse. Haley, as always, thank you for coming to the weekend and for sharing your story. I have to tell you, when I listened to the First Lady's speech there, and we didn't play this part of her remarks, but it was her oath. Why wasn't the First Lady calling on other people to testify under oath in the Epstein matter?
Well, that's exactly right. And that's exactly how I feel is, you know, all of the survivors that have been public, and we have to remember that there are a large and vast amount of children and women that have not come forward because they do not want to be public. So for the girls and the women that have been public, we have shared our story so many times on Capitol Hill in front of Congress. When I go back to September 2nd, I had asked Trump to meet with the survivors, and I would meet him halfway, whatever, so we could come to a vast resolution. And I think it's exactly what you said. It didn't feel like support of survivors. First of all, if we want to make it survivor-centered, I'm not working with Attorney General Todd Blanche. I want him investigated to see what happened with Ghislaine Maxwell being moved to a summer camp, first of all. That should have been a top priority. As well as, why would I want to work with Pam Bondi, who didn't even want to address or acknowledge us? I mean, you want it to be survivor-centered, you have to make the survivors feel safe and feel heard and feel seen. And we have yet to feel that by this administration. So if you want us to come and you want us to be a part of this and to testify, which is asinine at this point because we've already done it, then you're going to have to make this a safe environment and get rid of the people that have touched Jeffrey Epstein or that in some capacity are tied to him.
Haley, the onus being put on all of you is one of those things that I think is frustrating for a lot of people. It's also, I don't imagine that this Republican Congress is going to, even if there was a world in which you all wanted to, I don't think they're going to bring you in front of cameras to go over the kinds of things that Jeffrey Epstein did, including the questions about Donald Trump and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. You are a Trump supporter. You voted for President Trump. You've been public about that. One of the things that we all hear from survivors all the time, is that you guys want accountability, justice, and transparency. And I'm curious what at this point you feel like those three things look like. Because this White House isn't going anywhere. This Justice Department isn't going anywhere. Accountability, justice, and transparency. What does that look like moving forward for you?
Well, first of all, they would have to stop coming after the survivors and asking us to come testify for things that we've already shared. I mean, it's public record. Some of us even testified it in front of grand juries and in courts. So I think that's a little ridiculous to have us come back. I think right now what we need is we need investigations. They have the names of the men. Thomas Massey and Rokana read some of those names on the House floor. So I'm not sure on why there's yet to be any investigations into the perpetrators that have already been named in those files. And I understand that right now it's just allegations and accusations. But in order for us to find the truth, you have to actually do your job, and that's to investigate. I have no faith in Todd Blanche. I have no faith in this administration. And we also have to remember with the Republican Party, when we went to Congress and we met with the Democrat Women's Caucus, the Republicans didn't want to meet with us. The second time we went to the Capitol, I think maybe 3 or 4 came into the meeting we had with the female Democrat caucus. And I think that that's a really disgusting thing for any person in power to just skate over. So accountability would be, we got to turn these files into trials. We need to start getting these gentlemen and these perpetrators that are listed in those documents to come in and testify under oath on what they know and what their role was and how much involvement they had.
Haley, I'm wondering, in light of just how surprising the commentary was this week, and I do completely hear the perspective from survivors that the First Lady is shifting the blame. But I'm wondering if you do see Melania Trump in any way as a potential ally that survivors could cultivate. And if you were invited to sit down with her, to come for a visit to the White House to meet with the First Lady, if that's an invitation that you would accept.
I would accept any invitation from anybody in this administration or outside this administration that are interested in actual justice, in actually hearing the survivors and listening, and actually interested in investigating the crimes that we have stood at the Capitol and have announced and shared our stories on. I would be more than happy to meet with the First Lady. And honestly, I am extremely grateful that Melania Trump even acknowledged us. And, you know, it took a lot of courage for her to come out and bring the attention back to the Epstein files when it's been such, you know, in the public eye. It seems like it's kind of been focused more on the Iran war and other world issues. So kudos to her. I would love to speak to her or anybody. You know, I'm very open.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm still looking for receipts as you all are listening to that. Okay, so now with that all being said, here's the thing. This interview, hold on, where is it? Hold on, beloveds. Okay, we're gonna have to go back to that in a second, but hold on, let me send this to my email really quick. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Okay, now listen. Sadly, it isn't in English. Okay, so I'm just gonna read to you. These 2 articles. First of all, let's read the one. Amanda Ungaro from sharing soirees with the Trumps to being deported by ICE. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and read this because it's not in English. I thought it was. Okay, so but she's supposed to be coming out Saturday and doing another interview. I'm not sure where she's doing it. I'll get into it, but I'll find out. But she's supposed to be coming out and telling some things on Saturday. This Saturday coming. So the former Brazilian model and ex-ambassador to the United Nations speaks in an interview about her expulsion from the United States, which she attributes to maneuvers by her former partner and about a flight on Epstein's plane. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me just put this on the screen so we can all see it. This is her right here, Amanda Ungaro. So after spending nearly half her life in the United States, 41-year-old Brazilian Amanda Ungaro was deported from the country last October. She endured 3 hellish months in a detention center until she was expelled, like more than 600,000 immigrants since Donald Trump returned to the White House in January of 2025 and set out to carry out the largest deportation in history. With what is unusual in the case of this former model who worked at the United Nations is that alongside her former partner and the father of her son, businessman Paolo Zampalli, Ungaro had in the past shared evenings with the Trumps at the family's Mar-a-Lago mansion, including a party to ring in 2022, which she now recalls as one of those incredibly boring 6-hour events. The two couples also spent other New Year's Eves together, a White House Easter children's party, a 4th of July celebration, all meticulously documented on Instagram by Zampalli. Now, the man who introduced Melania to the president, so they're saying Zampalli introduced Melania, not Epstein. Anyway, the man who introduced Melania to the president and who was appointed special envoy for global partnerships by his friend. Now, the Brazilian woman and the Italian American who separated in 2023 after 2 decades together are engaged in a bitter custody battle over their 16-year-old son, G. Now it's war. We'll see who wins. I kept quiet for years, and because of that, people judged me. They asked me, why are you speaking now? Because the man would not leave me in peace. I tried. I left the relationship with nothing, left my son at boarding school and went to work, Ungaro said last Tuesday in an interview at her new home, a penthouse in Rio de Janeiro. It was not enough for him to destroy me during 20 years of relationship. He wanted to destroy me again when I started a new life, when I got married. And there they are again with Trump and Melania. Now, Ungaro left New York and Washington behind. Having settled in Aventura, Florida with her husband, everything fell apart last June. 10 police officers stormed into our home, arrested me, and took my son to the police station, she says. She and her husband, a Brazilian doctor, were arrested and charged with fraud at a cosmetic clinic following anonymous tips. She denies the charges, emphasizing that her deportation from the U.S. prevented her from defending herself. She insists that the truth will come to light. They put her in a cell with child murderers. Me, who has no criminal record. I was terrified, she recalls. It's all nefarious. Now, when Zampalli learned that his ex-girlfriend was being held in custody, he contacted a senior official at U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement so that she would remain jailed and be deported, thereby allowing him to secure the custody of their son that he had long sought. And this is all according to the New York Times. ICE complied with his request. Zampalli reached by phone by El País, denies any wrongdoing. Sure, you didn't do anything, sir. Now, handcuffed at the hands and feet, she was transported to an immigration detention center in Miami, where she spent 3.5 months in complete horror. Her husband, who had a green card permanent residency permit, was released. I volunteered to scrub the floors at 6 a.m. so I wouldn't go crazy. I spent the whole day crying. I read the Bible from beginning to end, she says. She helped others, sharing with them her phone credit to make calls. She claims that there were detainees with residency permits, an octogenarian handcuffed in a wheelchair, and a young woman who had just lost a baby and had to wait a long time to receive medical care. To proceed with the deportation, she was taken to Louisiana. Now, it was a hall with more than 120 people. The floor was wet. There were no windows, 4 days without seeing the sun. I came out infested with lice, she recounts. Ugh. She landed in Brazil wearing the prison uniform with nothing, not even a cell phone. I spent a month depressed in a room. Ungaro regrets not having left Zampalli sooner and not having reported him. I was living at the mercy of a sick psychopath who abused me physically, psychologically, abused me psychologically, sexually, and physically. I asked many people for help. No one ever helped me, but I couldn't leave without my son, and he would not sign the authorization, she says. Now, Zampali denies the allegations. He says, I made her an alternate ambassador. We were invited to the White House. What kind of abuse is that? We had a telenovela relationship or style relationship, a very toxic one. Ungaro had left her hometown in Londrina, Brazil at the age of 13 to become a model. She traveled extensively. Okay, Sao Paulo, Milan, Germany, Japan, South Korea. And at first, her mother accompanied her, but she soon struck out on her own and set her sights on making it big in New York. In 2002, when she had not yet turned 17, she flew from Paris to New York on the Lolita Express, the private plane of convicted ex-offender Jeffrey Epstein. She says, my agent told me we're going with a couple of friends, a private plane just for us. There were about 30 very young girls or young women there, 14, 15, 16 years old. I said, what is this? And he replied, don't worry. This is how she recalls a trip that she first revealed to the Brazilian newspaper O Globo. So Ungaro claims that she didn't interact with anyone on the flight except to greet the host, Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, his accomplice, who is currently serving a sentence for trafficking. Amanda, let me introduce you to Jeffrey, her agent said. Now, he came over and asked, where are you from? How old are you? Which modeling agency do you work for? And he introduced me to Ghislaine. She claims that she never saw Epstein again. He was found dead in his cell in 2019. The same fate befell the modeling agent who put Ungaro on the plane, Jean-Luc Brunel, who was arrested in connection with the Epstein case and died in a Parisian prison in 2022. When she became a mother in 2010, she left the fashion industry. Her husband secured her a position at the United Nations, where for a few years she served as a diplomat for the island of Grenada. I want you all to pay attention to something. And it's all interesting how these people, just because they know people or deal with people, they just put them in these positions. This woman, how was she qualified to be an ambassador? Now, I'm not going in on her, but I'm just saying, think about that. He made her an ambassador, and then she served as a diplomat for Grenada, and he represented another small Caribbean island, Dominica. Now, with that all being said, that's where their titles as ambassadors came from. Two tiny countries, each with barely 100,000 inhabitants, that each hold one vote at the UN, just like China. At first, I didn't understand anything, but I started making contacts, building a professional network, and it went very well for me, she recalls. She appeared in UN documents as Grenada's representative in sessions on the International Criminal Court of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. She exchanged her model visa for a tax-exempt diplomatic passport. At the time, Zampali preferred that his then girlfriend retain that status because it was more advantageous from a tax perspective, according to an apparent out of court settlement to which this newspaper has had access. Paulo used to tell me, wait for Trump to win the election for the second time, and we'll sort out your papers and he'll give you an American passport, she says. After several years with an expired resident permit, Ungaro was applying for a visa linked to her husband, the doctor, when she was arrested. He remains in Florida, trying to reach a legal settlement. Zampali, a well-known figure in New York's nightlife scene for decades, was the owner of ID Models. And in that milieu, he occasionally crossed paths with Epstein. His name is mentioned a handful of times in press clippings and an email he sent to the ex-offender via a third party with a link to a luxury magazine. Among the millions of documents released by the U.S. Department of Justice. Now, Zampali told the New York Times that they were not close. The sun is setting over Rio de Janeiro as Ungaro finishes recounting her story, with all the countless twists and turns of the legal cases she's dealing with, including the bitter custody battle over her teenage son. Now, while she continues to hold endless meetings with her lawyers, she dreams of reuniting with him and with her husband. It is time for the photographs. She puts on her jacket, slips into a pair of heels, and poses with a serious expression. Honey, I can't wait till all of this comes out. What do y'all have to say about it? This is all so nefarious. Mm-mm. Now, with that all been said, let's go to this next article because a Brazilian former model, says Trump ally used influence to have her deported. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's probably saying much of the same. She says they came in at 6 in the morning, pulled me into the hallway in my pajamas with my face turned to the wall, took our passports, handcuffed me and my husband in front of my son, who was also taken to the station because he was a minor and I had no one to leave him with. Ungaro lived in the United States from 2002 until her deportation and to 2025. Now, Zampali is 56 years old. When Trump won in 2016, Paulo acted like he had been elected too. This is what Ungaro says. We were suddenly invited everywhere. At New Year's parties at Mar-a-Lago, we and one other couple were the only ones at the table with Trump and Melania. Now, here are some paperwork. Let me see. What is this? There's paperwork, pictures of paperwork. I'm not sure what it is. It says documents provided by Amanda Ungaro that she says show her immigration status was in transition at the time of her arrest and deportation by ICE. Now, authorities in Aventura, Florida, part of the Miami metropolitan area, said that at the time of the couple's arrest in June of 2025, they had received anonymous complaints alleging that her husband was operating an unlicensed medical clinic. The charges included practicing medicine without a license, grand theft, and organized fraud. Couple denies wrongdoing. Her husband said he was not practicing medicine in the United States at the time and was instead teaching while working to regularize his credentials. He now holds certification as a physician assistant because supposedly his license was from another country, but he wasn't licensed in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. So in a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said Ungaro was detained and deported for overstaying her visa and facing fraud-related allegations, rejecting claims of political motivation or interference by Zampali. Sure. Now, when contacted by O Globo, Zampali said he wishes only the best for his former partner and dismissed Ungaro's claims that he was behind her arrest and deportation as absurd. Now, he said that after speaking with Florida State Prosecutor Stacey Cleveland, he was told the allegations involving the clinic where Ungaro and her current husband worked had already been under investigation for about 3 years. Ungaro disputes the Department of Homeland Security their account, saying her immigration status was in transition and providing documents that she says supports that claim. Because her husband holds a green card, she argues she was eligible for residency through marriage, though she acknowledged she did not have a valid visa from 2019 to 2024. She also points to a 2018 out-of-court agreement in which she says Zampali committed to helping regularize her immigration status and to provide financial support. Now, a document obtained by O Globo shows the two sought a private settlement agreeing to support her immigration status or immigration process and provide financial assistance, while acting as Giovanni's best interest or in Giovanni's best interest. Giovanni is the son. Now, after their final separation in 2021, none of those commitments were ever fulfilled. Zampali said, wait, and if Trump wins the next election, that's when he basically told her, then Trump's going to help her. He was probably planning this out all along. So Ungaro said she chose to return to Brazil in part out of fear of losing custody of her son while in detention. Her husband remains in Florida under electronic monitoring as the case proceeds. After her return, the New York Supreme Court authorized her son's relocation to Brazil in November of 2025. Weeks later, in December of 2025, she filed a complaint alleging that Zampali had unlawfully taken the child back to the United States. On social media, Zampali offered a different account, saying the teenager chose to return on his own, bought the tickets with his miles, and told him, Dad, I love America. I want to stay here forever. Now, a message obtained by O Globo shows that weeks after Giovanni's return to the United States, Zampali again invoked his influence, stating that his son would give a statement to Florida State Prosecutor Stacey Cleveland, and that the record would be forwarded to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. In the same message, he refers to Jay Clinton, a name that appears to point to Jay Clayton, whom Trump appointed to serve as U.S. Attorney in Manhattan. Bondi and Clayton are involved in handling the Epstein case. The Madam Cardi referenced in the message is the attorney appointed by a U.S. court to represent Giovanni's interests in the custody dispute between his parents. And so this is I guess this is the message right here. It says, Madam Cardi, you need to call Giovanni on WhatsApp because his mother disconnected his phone service. Additionally, he's not particularly willing to speak with you at the moment. He's also going to testify in front of the state attorney in Florida, Stacey Cleveland, in Musme, and the file will be referred to Jay Clinton and Pam Bondi. Meanwhile, Amanda's husband is sending emails to Giovanni and causing disturbances. Now, finally, Giovanni had another ticket today to return to Brazil, which he personally canceled. We are not appearing before any judge, and I am not represented by an attorney, and I will not be in New York anytime soon, as I am currently on a mission. Okay. Now, it goes on to say that this wouldn't be the first time Paulo has tried to use his influence to obtain favors within the government. This is what Amanda Ungaro says. I will continue fighting to have my son returned to my custody. She also said that she has received emails from Zampali that she interprets as veiled threats, often referencing his proximity to Trump. And in one message, reviewed by O Globo, he wrote that my position serving the president is not forever, and that she shouldn't allow him to complete his work, or that she should allow him to complete his work to help secure their son's future rather than expose him to unnecessary harm. That does sound like a threat. Is he threatening his own son? In the same communications, Zampali suggests that public exposure of the case, including media attention and potential testimony related to Jeffrey Epstein, could harm her son's chances of being admitted to prestigious universities. Asked by O Globo why he contacted Cleveland, despite no apparent direct connection to the case, Zampali said he was concerned about his son's safety and before ending the call. So what do you all think? This is all nefarious. Yikes. This is all so crazy. Okay, but let's go on. Hold on. There is a text message that I had too. This was from, let me see what this says here. Okay, this is a text message from the other lady who said that she's going to expose them. And that would be Victoria. Also, there was also, let me see if I had that in my phone. There was a video of Melania and Trump, and someone was recording them. And the look on Melania's face, I don't know. Melania looked like she almost looked like she saw a ghost. Okay, I'm gonna send this photo to my email so I can show you all. It's like someone was recording them, her and Trump, and when she looked up and saw who it was, she looked like she was spooked. Okay, hold on. Let me send this to my email real quick. Okay, so here's what the text message says. Your feedback. It's humiliating. I don't care anymore because I'm sick of men manipulating young girls, and I trust you. This why I do what I do. It'll be okay, I promise. I'm here for you. At least you have all the documentation and everything put together. So if for whatever reason, which I pray it won't happen, he can transfer all the files back via zip files so you can send it to your new attorney. That's what happened with me. The hard part is over. You went through the abuse, you documented everything, which another hard part, and we will get you justice. I promise. This is all so interesting. What do you all think? I think Trump is going down. Okay, now let me pull up this picture of Melania because why is she looking so spooked? I'm going to show you all that video too. I'm going to go to another clip and then I'm going to find that video so you all can see it for yourselves where she was looking so like she saw a ghost. Hold on, here we go. Look at Melania's face. Now, she was not looking like that until she looked over and saw someone like they were recording them or doing something. Okay? That's when she started looking like that. Okay, so I'm going to go to this video. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. I'm going to use an overlay. Ha! Smiley said she saw Jeff. Let me put an overlay on here just to be on the safe side.
Simple. It's dirty. It's dirty. There's nothing about this that doesn't feel dirty as fuck. But when he did that, and this is what did not make a lot of the headlines, Amanda had been arrested for fraud in the United States. Now, that could just be a nasty guy like Paolo finding an opportunity because, you know, his ex-wife or whatever she was to him at this point, you know, mother of his kid, though, who he didn't like, you know, now had a black eye on her. And so he could take advantage of that to also potentially screw over his kid in the process because he's selfish about it or whatever. But it's not like he just called up ICE and said, hey, my ex-wife who's chilling in her house right now,
go get her.
Go get her. It's not that simple. He did do that, but she had been arrested. Now let's look at the story as to why she was arrested for fraud, because you hear fraud and you're like, oh my God, she must just be a total scumbag. This one's a little weird though. So back in June 2025, she was arrested with a man named João Batista Cunha de Arroyo, who was a Brazilian doctor. As far as Deef and I can find, he is a licensed Brazilian doctor. He's not a licensed United States doctor.
Yes.
And so what he did, allegedly, and if so, illegally, in the United States, was he opened up a cosmetic clinic where he would give Botox and lip fillers and some prescriptions and stuff like that illegally down in Florida, where Amanda worked for him at the office, like managing the business and helping out with the procedures and stuff like that. And because he was not a licensed doctor in the US, this is not legal, obviously, and it's fraudulent. What we can't figure out is why Amanda was arrested and charged with that. We don't have the charging documents here. But that would mean that the government, in arresting her, felt that they had proof that she was fully aware that he was not licensed in the United States, and that therefore she was also fully aware that what they were doing was illegal according to United States medical codes, laws. It's not just the point being, it's not just straightforward like, you know, she Matt Coxed a bunch of people or something like that. You know, she might be someone that was taken along for a ride here with this guy and now just went down after he was revealed. That's possible. Or she was in on it, in which case, you know, that's bad. And by the way, if she does have immigration problems, not someone you want in the country, because she'd be a criminal. It's just very dirty that this guy uses his political contacts to have the mother of his child deported.
During a custody battle, too.
Yes. And it's particularly, I'm coming back to Epstein on this. It's particularly damning that this guy is such a close friend of the president and goes so far back with him as a modeling agent in the era of the Epstein files, who may have allegedly introduced Melania to Trump. Now, Melania comes out with this statement on Thursday. And at 12:51 a.m. that morning, I believe she gave the statement in the afternoon. Maybe it was 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, something like that. But that morning, Amanda Ungaro, who is now deported, I believe, right? Like she's out of the country?
Yes.
Yeah. She tweeted out from her official X account, "Hello, Melania. I was around you for 20 years. You knew I was inside ICE, and you know what hurts after all this time? I stayed close to your family, your mother and your father, not because of you, but because of them at events and everything else. Deport her."
Okay, so now here's the video that I'm talking about when Melania, pay attention to Melania's face. She looks over, she's looking at Trump, and then she looks over and she sees someone, and then she starts looking real spooked. And I'm not going to start the audio because there's music playing. Look at Melania's eyes again. She looks like she just saw a ghost. See how her body tensed up? Clearly pressed. The truth's coming out, Melania and Trump. Y'all are going down. Okay? Yikes is all I can say. But anywho, so let's move on to the next point of business. Now let's talk about Swalwell, the man that's accused, the one that's in the gubernatorial race, and they're trying to tell him to quit. They're saying that he went rogue when he came out and did that video speaking up for himself. And now they're also saying that this man's under a criminal investigation. Someone wants to take this man down. Okay, this is all a whole lot. And for it to all of a sudden come out of the blue, I just feel it like it's something shady going on here, okay? Let's get into it, beloveds.
Of sexual assault against California Congressman and candidate for governor Eric Swalwell. They are at the center of a criminal investigation. Those bombshell allegations prompting several high-profile lawmakers to call on Swalwell to drop out of the race and resign from Congress. Eyewitness News reporter Abigail Velez has more on the fallout and the new response from Swalwell's camp.
The congressman categorically denies any misconduct took place, and we intend to vindicate his rights in court.
Eric Swalwell's attorney pushing back on CNN Friday night as the California congressman and frontrunner for governor now faces a criminal investigation led by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. At the center, allegations he sexually assaulted a former staffer in a New York City hotel room in April of 2024. The accusations also include claims from other women, with one accuser speaking publicly on CNN.
After that bar closed, we went to another. I went to the bathroom and I don't remember anything after that. I remember the next day, I can see flashes of that evening of him on top of me pushing him off, him grabbing me. It was a lot more aggressive.
Back here at home, tensions are also surfacing within Swalwell's own camp. Senior staffers for his campaign and congressional office releasing a joint statement saying they're horrified by the allegations, adding in part, any decision of staff members to remain in their roles in the interim should not be viewed as support for Eric Swalwell. We recognize that not everyone, in particular our junior staff, can immediately forfeit their income and benefits without significant personal risk or consequence. And a campaign staffer telling ABC News tonight, Swalwell went rogue when he released this video statement Friday.
These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They're absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened.
A number of California lawmakers and major labor groups are now cutting ties after Swalwell had previously locked in key endorsements. By Friday, some of his most influential backers had pulled their support. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass now among those calling on him to end his campaign and resign from Congress. Former LA Mayor Antonia Villaraigosa, also running for governor, is echoing that call.
The courage of these people, take on a powerful Congress member who ran for president, now running for governor. These women need to be believed.
Now, Swalwell is still scheduled to host an event in Los Angeles tomorrow at a local church alongside Assemblymember Tina McKinnon, who actually withdrew her support for him just yesterday. We reached out to the Swalwell campaign to see if they would be canceling or postponing the event. We're still waiting to hear back. Reporting in Glendale, Abigail Velez, ABC 7.
Did you all hear the person running against him said these women need to be believed? Well, I find it all interesting. Hold on just a second, beloveds. Everybody is reporting on this man. This is a big story apparently because now CNN says they have exclusive reporting. Also, what is going on here? Because it looks like it's not real. It's now beefing with Turkey more. Okay, it says Turkey versus is not real. Erdogan warns of military action. Then it says huge. This is just from like 25 minutes ago. Then 30 minutes ago, huge. Macron defies Trump again and openly backs Iran. Macron is not to be trusted by anyone. He just wants to get that oil. That's all that is. He wants to be able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Pencilola said thumbs up. Join sub. Right. Thank you, beloved. Okay, thank you for that. And thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so with that all being said, let's go to this next clip because House Democrats call on Swalwell to drop out of the gubernatorial race. This is from an hour ago, reported from ABC.
Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell to end his bid for California governor. A source now telling ABC News Swalwell is facing a criminal investigation in New York. Joining me now with more is ABC News' Christian Cordero. Christian, we're seeing right now this fallout from politicians on both sides of the aisle. It's been swift. What more are you hearing this hour?
Well, it has been swift. It has disrupted the California governor's race, not to mention, the many people who work for his team. And then, of course, the women who came forward and made these allegations. And so the representative, he denies any wrongdoing. He certainly denies any criminal wrongdoing, but nonetheless is being accused of several different varieties of sexual misconduct, even going as severe as a criminal investigation in New York that has been opened by the district attorney there from an incident in 2024, an alleged incident. A woman came forward, spoke with the San Francisco Chronicle, said that he sexually assaulted her twice, once in 2019, once in 2024. In 2019, she was working for him, she says, at the time, and she wasn't in 2024. And the backlash, Ike, has really manifested across the political spectrum, as you mentioned.
My question is, if he did that to her in 2019, how was he able to do it again in 2024? You didn't call the police. You didn't report him. You didn't go to anyone in the first place. But let's continue.
But even within his own team, his staffers, both from the campaign side, as he was a front runner, is a front runner in the governor's race, and from his Hill team, senior staffers came out with a joint statement effectively saying that they are distancing themselves from him and that he went rogue in releasing a video statement denying the allegations, Ike.
This governor's race, if Swalwell drops out, how could that reshape the race and which candidates are likely to benefit?
So it's hard to imagine a scenario where this hasn't already reshaped the race because ballots are set to go out in a matter of weeks, about 3 weeks from tomorrow, technically. So this is well underway. He's one of 3 top contenders, and the other 2 are Republicans. In California, Ike, the top 2 candidates, the 2 candidates that get the most votes in the primary, go head to head in the general election, and that's regardless of what political party they're affiliated with. So there is a scenario, and it's not an unlikely one, where now with this drop of endorsements from Swalwell, whether he stays in the race or not, and certainly if he says that he's dropping out of it, that the 2 other Republican candidates could go head to head, and that essentially ices out the Democratic Party for the next governor of California. And leading up to this, the Democratic Party in California has been pretty fractured. It has been a very crowded field, and several candidates who are well-known names were not necessarily getting an edge that they perhaps were expecting. Eric Swalwell did emerge from that group, and it seemed like was on his way to at least contending for one of those top 2 roles. But now it's very much in the air of what the future of that looks like, Ike.
All right, Christian, thank you for that update.
So tasty, it could give Medusa a good hair day. Holy divine taste from the Greek gods.
Look around.
The Democrat is running for California governor, as you know. He's been facing rumors on social media about sexual misconduct allegation that he has denied. CNN's Pamela Brown and her team have spoken with 4 accusers, including a former staffer.
Okay, so listen, some members of Congress went to visit an ICE detention center. You got to hear what they found. It's absolutely nefarious. Okay, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share, and then we're going to talk about those the warehouse fires.
I'm Congressman Greg Stanton. I'm here with my colleagues, Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari, Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva. Tonight we did an impromptu oversight visit to the Mesa Gateway AROC detention facility. We arrived at approximately, 9:30 or so. We attempted to get into the facility as we are legally obligated and have a right to do as members of Congress to provide oversight over this ICE detention facility. Nobody originally answered at the front, so Congresswoman Ansari suggested we go around the side because there was activity of planes being loaded and unloaded. That's what we did. We caught the attention of an individual there, told them who we were and the purpose for the visit. To their credit, they did allow us to then enter the facility. We did ask for each of us to have one of our professional staff people to go with us. And that request was originally agreed to, but then secondarily, the chief who was called on the phone by the gentleman who was helping us, changed his mind and said that we could not have professional staff. So it was just the 3 of us that did the oversight visit. I would just say what we saw inside the facility tonight was shocking, overcrowding to a level that is completely unacceptable. People lying on the floor next to each other, side by side on a concrete floor. This is a facility that was meant for short-term stays as people await their flights to deportation. We now know that detainees are staying here for multiple days. Unfortunately, they cannot tell us for the detainees that were there how long each of them had been there, but it was clear that many of them had been there for a long period of time in these conditions in which each of the holding cells were significantly overcrowded, significantly beyond the capacity. That's totally unacceptable to any of us. I handed over to Congresswoman Ansari to give further description of what she saw, and she spoke to some of the detainees, and then Congresswoman Grijalva, who also had the opportunity to speak to some of the detainees. Officially, we were not, quote, allowed to speak to the detainees, but of course, when detainees approach us and clearly want to speak to us, there's nothing legally stopping them from doing so. Unfortunately, the staff of the facility did not want us doing that, and after short conversations, told us we could no longer speak to the detainees. Congresswoman.
Thank you, Congresswoman Yasmin Ansari. I represent Arizona's 3rd District. What we just witnessed inside this detention facility, the short-term facility called AROC at Mesa Gateway Airport, was shameful. Absolutely shameful that the United States government, funded by our taxpayer dollars, is allowing this to happen. What we witnessed is massive overcrowding, rooms that have capacity for 21 people, and it clearly says that at the top of each room, filled with 40, 50 people, body to body, detainees begging to speak to us through the windows, speaking to us through the cracks of these rooms, telling us that it's hot, that somebody has a fever, that they've been in there for days. It's unacceptable. ICE is breaking any possible standard of human dignity that we should have in the United States of America, breaking laws left and right, no accountability, no oversight whatsoever. I want to point out that Congressman Stanton and I came here one other time on February 20th. We gave 7 days notice because of the absurd bureaucracy that ICE creates. During that visit, the staff told us that most times nobody is here above 12 hours.
Like soundproof glass, that it's really hot. I didn't see blankets. People are laying straight on the concrete in a row like sardines. It gives you the visual of how horrible it is. I had a woman who stuck her head out and said, "Excuse me, can you ask them for any sanitary napkins? There are 2 women in here that need them, and we've been asking." So while we were there, they gave it to them. My concern is we had one staff member with us that was communicating with detainees in Spanish. The vast majority of people were speaking Spanish. I asked if they had the capacity to be able to talk to people. One of the things that is still not clear is that there were 2 charter buses back here filled with people, about 80 people. I asked, were those people just in this facility, or are they coming in? Because where would they go? There is no shower capacity for people. I don't know how people are changing clothes. Somebody showed me a sandwich. One of the reasons why we first came here is there were mentions of a hunger strike. We're very concerned about that. Someone put up a sandwich that looked like just pieces of bread. And he just said, he made a face that the food was disgusting and like nobody wants to eat it. But I don't think that it was a lack of access to food. But I am very concerned about the conditions in there. Anyone with a cold, anyone with any kind of infection, they are in literally such close quarters and sweating that there is no way that people are not going to get really, really ill in there. And a woman said, you know, why aren't they treating us like human beings? This is inhumane. She was actually getting ready to be deported at an airport 44 days ago. And she was now back through this process again. She was ready to be deported. She said, my case is already done. I'm finished. Why am I still here? So there are a lot of more unanswered questions than I had before I got here. And it is frightening in there. And they're afraid. They're literally looking at us like, are you here to help? And all we can do is so frustrating. You take notes and report to you. So I'm glad that you're here because we need more attention on this issue. People are being treated like there's no way that we could treat animals like this. People would be outraged, but apparently it's fine to treat people this way. It's disgusting. And we as a country, these people deserve better and we need to do better.
Okay, so we're going to go to the talk about the warehouse, but let me tell you something, guys. There is something very strange going on, and Black people, you better be very concerned, okay? Because I don't know what Palantir is up to, but if you all remember, I told you all something about Rex 84 that came out during Ronald Reagan's administration. That's why it's 84. That was the year. And also something about people who look like me being rounded up, but pay attention because there's a Black lady that did a video, and other people have said the same thing, that these Palantir billboards are being put up in their neighborhoods. What is going on here? You all do know that Palantir supposedly has some sort of kill technology where they can kill hostile targets. Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about that next. Okay, so please pay attention. Like stuff, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
Worker accused of starting this 6-alarm fire is scheduled to appear in court today. The case related to the Ontario warehouse fire against Jamel Abdul Karim, according to the DA, still pending review. And today, another warehouse employee is speaking out about the fire. NBC4's Christian Caceres live outside the courthouse in Rancho Cucamonga. Christian, it's getting late. Do we know if the suspect will be in court today?
Well, Colleen, I can tell you he will not be in court today. We were told it was supposed to be sometime this morning, but I did talk to the San Bernardino County DA's office, and they tell me they are still finalizing their review. And once that is done, a day and a time will be set for that first court appearance. But while we wait, one of the 20 employees that was inside that warehouse the night of the fire is speaking out because he says that fire ruined so many lives.
All you had to do was pay us enough to live.
Authorities say videos like this one on social media are part of their ongoing investigation into Tuesday's Kimberly-Clark warehouse fire in Ontario. Police arrested Shamil Abdul Karim, a warehouse employee, for arson.
Like, you're ruining people's life doing this.
On Thursday, we met this man outside the courthouse in Rancho Cucamonga who did not want to be identified but claimed he was one of the 20 employees inside the night of the fire.
It was just a lot of chaos and a lot of people just running around everywhere, seeing what's happening. And it's crazy because it was in different locations that the fire was being set up.
Abdul Karim faces several charges for arson,
but authorities have not released a motive despite salary claims in this video.
All you had to do was pay us enough to live.
That several warehouse employees tell us is a 29-year-old.
There's things that are going on with the world right now, but that you don't go and burn a building down because your life is horrible. You're just gonna make other people's lives worse. It's absurd. It's absurd. It's chaos.
Kimberly Clark says the distribution center was operated by third-party logistic partner NFI Industries. It housed paper products, which firefighters say fueled the flames for hours.
There goes your inventory.
Thank God no one was hurt in this incident, but he needs to think about the precautions that he could have put everyone through, everyone's families, like not even in the warehouse. Like I'm talking about this could have spread through the homes that were nearby. It's insane.
Now, the company says they are working to relocate their employees and also minimize the impact for both customers and consumers, but we still don't know what that impact is. As for Abdul Karim's case, we know that his process is still being finalized by the DA for that first court appearance. Of course, we'll keep you posted.
Okay, so Natasha said why the sprinklers didn't come on. I'm not sure, but the sprinklers would not have helped with the way that fire was burning. Now, that also being said, we're going to go to this other clip, suspect formally charged an Ontario warehouse fire. Here's the thing. He put it out there because he wanted people to know he did it. He said that he is like Luigi Maggioni. That's what he said. And so he compared himself to Luigi Maggioni. So clearly he wanted us all to know that he did it. And you know what? There's going to be a whole lot more. There's going to be more of this stuff happening. I'm telling y'all right now. I'm telling y'all right now, it's going to be more of this stuff happening, sadly.
All you had to do was pay us enough to live. All you had to do was pay us enough to live.
Authorities releasing a photo of the suspect accused of setting a massive fire at a Kimberly-Clark warehouse in Ontario earlier this week. 29-year-old Shamel Abdul Karim has been charged with several counts of felony arson. Federal and state prosecutors announcing this morning that they are pursuing separate cases against him. They allege Abdul Karim recorded himself setting several pallets on fire, leading to the destruction of the warehouse.
The paper product alone that was inside of the warehouse was worth $500 million. The building itself was worth $150 million. In addition to count one, we filed an additional 6 more counts as it related to each separate fire that was started by the suspect in this particular case.
Federal prosecutors say Abdul Karim was driven by, quote, hostility toward capitalism and corporations. He is set to be arraigned today.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. They're going to really try to make an example out of him. Okay? That fire was huge. I'm surprised he didn't hurt himself trying to set a fire like that. But anywho, like I was saying, we're going to get into this whole thing about Palantir Technologies, okay, and Peter Thiel. Now, and here's the thing. People are saying that Joe Rogan has completely sold out. Listen, I don't like Joe Rogan, never did, okay? After Joe Rogan said that he got out in a black neighborhood to go to see the movie Planet of the Apes, when he got out in that neighborhood, he was already in Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I don't like him. Okay, that wasn't funny to me. Now, he came back and apologized, but hey, why would you say it in the first place? Okay, so with that being said, Joe Rogan, they're calling him a sellout because there was a young man who's been researching this stuff. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and basically, when he started talking about Palantir being partially responsible for what went on over there in Gaza, Joe Rogan tried to defend that. Okay, Joe Rogan, please sit down. We all know what our eyes saw. Now, with that being said, also says, listen to this. Palantir Technologies provides AI-powered software primarily through its platforms, Gotham and AIP, which is Artificial Intelligence Platform. Now, that is used by military and intelligence agencies to accelerate the kill chain, which is the process of identifying, targeting, and engaging an enemy so they could kill you from a distance. Okay, please pay attention. This is all nefarious. Palantir's technology acts as a brain that ingests massive amounts of intelligence data to automate target identification, reducing a process that previously took days into seconds or minutes. Now, originally a Pentagon project designed to use computer vision to analyze drone footage, Palantir's Maven platform now acts as a central interface for warfighters. It integrates satellite imagery, sensor feeds, and intelligence data to pinpoint enemy targets. Now, reports indicate that AI systems, such as those used by the Is Not Real Defenses Forces, known as the IDF, and supported by Palantir, analyze human metadata, phone records, and social media activity to create threat scores. These scores are used to mark individuals for potential military strikes. Are y'all listening? Are y'all listening? Are they serious? These scores are used to mark individuals for potential military strikes, and they're putting up their billboards in Black people's neighborhoods. Okay, didn't I tell y'all? I don't know why some Black people are so foolish and obtuse. I told you all when some of y'all were sitting there saying, oh, we don't need to worry about ICE. We don't need to worry about it. They're not coming for us. Y'all remember that? But anyway, let's continue, because this lady says that she's already seen this in her neighborhood. Likes up, everyone, please. A like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go. You know, this is even more nefarious than that darn heart attack gun. Remember the gun that they have supposedly that shoots it shoots like a piece of ice that's shaped like a bullet, and it has all these toxins and poisonous things in it. And then when it hits the person and strikes them, it makes them have a heart attack. Okay, so it looks like natural causes. The ice then melts, and so there's no proof of anything. Yeah, they actually showed that when someone testified. I can't remember who it was, years ago.
I need the Black community to listen to me and listen to me well. I need you to share this information with everyone you know, and I need you to stay for this entire video. I have been trying to sound the alarm on something that is going on that I believe is going to affect us by this summer, and it is being strategically done, and we have already seen it happen in other countries, but I'm not getting the message to the target audience. So if you see this comment, say something, do anything, so we can protect our own. Now, I have made multiple videos about Indiana and how they have become the center for ICE, as well as the center for a lot of trials that they want to do globally. I have made it painfully aware of the different legislation that is being passed that can potentially harm the Black community, that is aimed directly at our community. And as someone who lives in a predominantly Black area, one of the only predominantly Black areas in Indiana, I want you to know Palantir billboards have been popping up. A few months ago, I warned you about how they are using Indiana as a center for ICE and that they are gearing up and planning something over the summer, and it has nothing to do with Hispanics. I also read to you the piece of legislation that was passed and how they have been strategically removing Black people from institutions in Indiana as well as other locations. But the over-policing of Black people in my community especially has reached an entirely new level. And we've already seen this happen. And Joe Rogan just brought it up on his podcast. 2 days ago, Palantir billboards popped up in my community, and Palantir billboards also popped up in 2 other predominantly Black areas across the country. And I'm going to prove it to you. And Palantir billboards popping up in this specific community in which I live that is majority Black doesn't make any sense, because it's a very underdeveloped city. Like, the city is damn near eroding. Now, these billboards displayed Palantir, and they said America's future. These billboards were also implemented in 2 locations in Ohio as well as Pennsylvania. They were put in Cleveland, which is predominantly Black, as well as Youngstown and Braddock and Wheeling, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. All of these communities are at least 80% Black and considered underdeveloped or eroding. Right after the Palantir billboards popped up in my community, I kid you not, they have started implementing drones. These drones are used as surveillance, and they are going around surveillancing Black neighborhoods with drones and also issuing tickets for any infraction on the road. Literally, it's getting creepy. I don't know if you just saw the Thiel podcast with Joe Rogan talking about how Palantir was used in that one place to help facilitate the mass you-know-what aside, and how they used surveillance, and some of the fire was coming from down. not what we thought. Peter Thiel has talked about a surveillance state and how he's felt about the Black community. But what I don't think people understand is what they're using and going to test on us. And it's getting closer and closer. And I see it in my own fucking community. For Palantir billboards to pop up, and then right after we have drones flying over our fucking city, issuing tickets. And we have the over-policing and gentrification of an area because police officers from every jurisdiction have only been in this area, in my neighborhood and community. Multiple jurisdictions and counties are patrolling this area to the point you can't turn a corner without someone being on the corner. Indiana has forced compliance with ICE. They are using Indiana as a training ground and have stated so for ICE agents. I know for a fact, Black communities, the deployment of Palantir in them is not a fucking coincidence. And I am seeing it firsthand, and I need y'all to wake up. I know we're resting, but we can't be blind. While we're sitting on our asses, they're pulling shit right in front of us and no one's listening. I can't say too much, but I have to take a break from distraction and get back to fucking reality. If there was ever a time to come together, I'm 100% certain just from looking out my window, it's fucking now.
Okay, don't say I haven't been warning you all. I knew this was coming. Okay? I told you all, a whole police state in every state. All right? Coming after Black folk. Let's go to this Joe Rogan podcast where he was sitting there caping for Palantir when this young man is telling him his thoughts. I'm going to, of course, use an overlay because I don't have permission to use this video.
Air all day. You know, there's that Palantir company just keeping tabs on everything that was happening. And
Palantir's involved in Gaza?
Palantir was involved in Gaza, yeah.
For sure?
Mm-hmm.
Put that into perplexity.
Like when Jamie brings up an article talking about it, Joe just instantly says it looks like a very biased article and that no one should trust it, which is so insane because it's a well-known fact that Palantir's technology is being utilized in Israel. It's even on Palantir.com. But Joe Rogan is so deeply afraid of Peter Thiel that he just plays super dumb to it all.
He looks like he was, breastfed by a
Israeli government began using Palantir software in 2014, significantly scaled up its partnership during the genocide in Gaza, which began in this is for sure a biased source just by the way they phrase that. So maybe that's not the best source.
I mean, it sounds like they have a good idea. It also sounds like they just put 4 words together that sounded great. Americans Friend Service.
I read stuff like that and I go, what is that, a CIA run company?
I agree.
Like,
you
know
have no idea.
Is that the Patriot Act? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just so suspicious how Joe is acting to this information. Like, it honestly seems like he's doing everything he possibly can to make his handlers happy, which is pretty funny because I actually think Joe's handlers have been upset with him lately. I mean, ever since that Dave Smith podcast Joe did around a week ago, where he was very anti-MAGA and whatnot, calling them a bunch of dorks and that he's embarrassed of associating himself with them, while also criticizing the Trump administration for their immigration policy, stating that the Obama administration was actually better and deportations. All of that must have pissed off his handlers so much that JD Vance literally said he was going to text Joe Rogan to tell him that he was wrong with a bunch of stuff that he said.
Here's the thing. Like, first of all, America is great. Make America greater, I'm down. But make America great again, and then it becomes a movement of a bunch of fucking dorks, because a lot of them are dorks. A lot of them, these really weird fucking uninteresting, unintelligent people that have got something they cling to, and there's a lot of people that are just real genuine patriots, and they're all lumped into this one group, and you got to accept the dorks too. Fuck that. Yeah. Like, the concept of making America great is a great idea, but as soon as you have a fucking team and you allow anybody to join up, you don't even have tryouts.
You're saying that Joe Rogan is wrong. Because Joe Rogan yesterday was roasting the Trump administration, saying probably the most offensive thing you could say, which is that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are better at deporting people than you.
I did not see Joe say this. I'm going to text Joe because that is definitely wrong. So that's
almost an exact quote. So
really,
yep.
Okay. So
Joe says MAGA's full of dorks. What do you think? Do you consider yourself a dork? He says MAGA's dorks.
I think we have many fewer dorks than the far left, but everybody's got some dorks. We love our dorks. We love our cool kids. We love anybody who wants to save the country.
So that basically confirms that there are people in the government with direct contact to Joe Rogan who will indeed push their agenda onto Joe in order to have the upper hand in the media. So I think right now, more than ever, Joe is skating on extremely thin ice with these guys, and in turn was probably super annoyed that Theo dared to criticize his beloved administration. Like at one point in the podcast, he even said something along the lines of how he thinks Theo sounds like a doomsday freak and a really sad man, which could be seen as him subtly hinting to Theo that he should just chill out and stop talking.
I mean, it's no surprise to me that Joe Rogan is not to be trusted. Okay. Blessed Child of Yah says, thanks, Queen, for always bringing the truth with a vibrant personality. That no nonsense is on point. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you. Now, let's go to this video where this young man's talking about Peter Thiel. And then we have a few more clips about him as well. Likes up, everyone. Please don't forget to like and share. Thank you.
One of the most dangerous men alive. Alex Karp is the CEO of Palantir, a company that builds AI-powered kill technology. Here are some of the things you definitely need to know, starting from least to most concerning. First, they built something called the digital kill chain. This is essentially custom AI software designed to track and kill hostile targets. But what gets really interesting is what they are building today, software that determines who might be a future threat before anything happens at all. Now, Palestine has been a playground for them over the past few years. Their opportunity to deploy and perfect all their kill tech against mostly innocent civilians and children. They just confirmed their involvement in the terrorist attack you might remember, where hundreds of pagers exploded, killing and injuring so many innocent civilians. And today, the people in Gaza are living in a dystopian world where AI-powered drones are constantly stalking them and killing them if they're determined threats. Last week, an innocent grandmother was walking, being stalked by one of these drones, and was ultimately shot down because it automatically determined that she seemed like a threat. In case you think their work doesn't affect you, let's wrap with a fact that you will definitely find concerning. Everyone's
Wait a minute. Now, did he just say that a grandmother was shot down because the drone detected her as a threat? Do y'all hear this? Also, let me just say, this all sounds like that movie from 2002 with Tom Cruise called The Minority Report. Remember, they were supposed to be able to predict future crimes. You see, that was predictive programming. See how they always tell us ahead of the time or ahead of them doing these things?
current favorite, ICE, targeting US citizens and immigrants alike, is powered by Palantir. In case you missed it, earlier in the year, Trump tasked Palantir with creating a master database on every US citizen. Palantir now has access to ICE, the IRS, HHS, and more. Heck, if you even have an Oura ring, they have access to your health data. The goal is to categorize the people in America as potential threats based off of your name, your race, your religion, and especially anything that you post on social media. If you've ever disagreed with the Trump administration or anything happening abroad, you will be bucketed into a category. Now, I'm on a mission to push back in any way I can. I'm the founder of Interval.
Okay, so I want you all to pay attention because I told you all this was all coming. I told you all they were going to be saying that if you're saying anything in disagreement with the Trump administration or whatever, they're going to have you deemed as a domestic terrorist and put you on a list and all of that, probably try to lock you up, throw you in prison, all of that. I told you all, just trying to take away your freedom of speech. Okay, but let's continue because it is what it is.
A news platform designed to highlight the censored and suppressed headlines that we know we are not getting. If you're interested in the mission, hop over to interval.news.
C-Stan, thank you for a contribution to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, now they said they have some leaked audio. Hold on. There's also a Palantir ad that I'm going to show. Hold on. This is a new ad. This guy did a TikTok about it.
There is this new Palantir commercial ad that just came out that you guys need to check out. You guys do remember who Palantir is, right? The new data integration company that's helping the Department of Defense, the IRS, the DOD, DOGE, and all these, and ICE, the people's handling immigration. But check this thing out, y'all. This is crazy.
Good morning, citizens. Your overnight account balances have been updated. Time to start a productive day. Final notice, your account balance is below 500. You need 50 credits by the end of the day to avoid automatic eviction. If you have missed work due to illness, you must provide a doctor's note to reclaim your credits.
Any extra credits? Please.
Tensions are high today, with more people planning to join the Citizens Against Digital Control protest. Remember, the government knows who you are at all times. Resisting is not worth the consequences. All of their newest social credit systems are designed to keep you and your families safe and efficient.
Authorities seized a record balance of an individual's credits, citing excessive hoarding.
Traffic violation detected. 7 miles per hour over the limit. 75 credits have been automatically deducted.
You have to be fucking kidding me.
Yep, you got the flu. Your blood work shows a significant iron deficiency. I recommend incorporating more red meat into your diet.
Dr. Jones, your taxes were not filed and have been automatically deducted with late fees. Your medical license has been revoked.
Oh, hell nah, I filed an extension.
Do y'all hear this? Okay, are they serious right now? But let's continue.
Purchase denied. Monthly red meat allowance exceeded. Try mealworms instead.
Can you guys please let me through?
Attention. Unauthorized political gathering detected. Participants' access to financial services has been suspended. Due to the speeding infraction, your car will be immobilized for 3 days.
Fuck you! Take your surveillance policies and rot in hell!
You've earned 50 bonus credits for reporting your neighbor's hateful misconduct.
What the hell is this?
This content exceeds your current social credit tier. May we suggest citizen responsibility? Sarah, open the door. You have been identified by the authorities. Don't resist. Don't resist. Don't resist.
Absolutely. Absolutely not. Okay, now C-Stan, thank you for your contribution. Says the diabolical urge to control all. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is all crazy. But thank you for your contribution and your insight into the topic, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now let's go to this, where this reporter is literally following Peter Thiel after he sees him. He's asking him about those Epstein files. Thiel keeps walking. This is all nefarious.
Mr. Thiel, do you have any comments about Palantir's surveillance of the American people, sir? Or any of your connections to Jeffrey Epstein? I think people are rather concerned about that last particular one. You're setting up a big brother surveillance system, and people know it, sir. You think the American people want this surveillance tech being used against them? Any comments at all on the Epstein connections? You're meeting with them. People are waking up to what you're doing there, sir. That's why we're here covering this.
All crazy.
Wow, Peter Thiel was booking it. That man picked up the pace. The second the word Epstein came out, it seemed he started getting a little faster. Mr. Thiel, do you have any comments about Palantir's surveillance of the American people, sir? Or any of your connections to Jeffrey Epstein?
Y'all know what's crazy is I literally just got an notification on my phone from PayPal. I find it all interesting. Okay, let's continue. Go to the next clip where this young man is talking about his surveillance.
Quickly for you guys that don't know, Peter Thiel is the CEO of Palantir. Palantir is a contractor for Israel. They use AI surveillance, and they are trying to create the AI surveillance state, allegedly, in my opinion. This is going to introduce mass surveillance that we've seen being pushed on America ever since the Patriot Act was instilled after 9/11. This is what he's all about. Peter Thiel is also promoting transhumanism, right? The people want to live forever. These billionaires, they want to become immortal. They want to be gods on earth, and they want to control everybody. It's bigger than just looks maxing, and it's bigger than just American politics. This is literally about evil and the end of the world, about multi-billionaires controlling everybody and keeping a slave class that's ultimately reliant upon AI for everything, and the goyim who have no idea what's going on. This is what he's all about. And so let me break down Peter Thiel really quickly for you guys that don't know. Peter Thiel is the CEO of Palantir.
Okay, this says the billionaires are squirming as the leaked lectures from Peter Thiel surface. This is from April the 7th.
Billionaires are squirming because the Washington Post just broke some news. The recordings were leaked from private lectures with Peter Thiel in San Francisco. You remember Peter Thiel, who was the billionaire who was asked last year if Americans had a right to be angry about healthcare, and his response was, I don't know. Now, in these audio recordings from speeches that were supposed to be kept strictly off the record, he first reveals the source of his panic, where he says, it has become quite difficult to hide one's money. An incredible machinery of tax treaties, financial surveillance, and sanctions architecture has been constructed. Wealth gives the illusion of power and autonomy, but you have a sense that it could be taken away at any moment. By the way, no wonder he was sweating irrationally after the United Healthcare thing. The dude is paranoid. But not only is he terrified of his money being taken away, he's convinced himself that the only way he can keep all of his money is if he convinces everybody that anyone who comes after his money is coming after God. He ties this all together into something called the one world state, which is another conspiracy. But in these speeches, he concludes that the best way to keep it is to make people scared. And what's the best way to make people scared? It's not just saying the planet would become a prison. It's not just saying the tax rates would be very high. There it is. It's that if you don't make it about religion, it'll never be scary enough. You will never make people really. Billionaires are squirming because the Washington Post just broke some news. The recordings were leaked from private lectures with Peter Thiel in San Francisco. You remember Peter Thiel, who was the billionaire who was asked last.
Sorry, I was multitasking. Did he play any audio? Did he, in fact, play the audio? Undercover cops record themselves in the gym. Nobody's safe. Ashkan says, please don't use PayPal. It's the wickedest and not FDIC. Thank you, beloved. I absolutely will cancel it. I was just thinking about it anyway, because why are they sending me this message? Talking about something. I don't remember subscribing to it. Okay, thank you, beloved, for that advice. Wait a second. Hold on. What are you doing? Did the whole video play? Because like I said, I was multitasking. Okay, did that whole thing play? Mr. Midnight says Sophia Stewart was writing about this in the 80s, the third eye. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, she was. Okay, did y'all hear the whole video? Y'all did? Okay, great. Okay, so let me just move on. One more, and then we're out of here. I told y'all I'd be doing absolutely too much. Okay, now what is this here? Let me see. Okay, I'm going to go to this next clip. Jago the Rogue said Queens neglected us. Listen, I was trying to send more stuff to my email for you all. Please leave me alone, honey. I'm just trying to gather receipts for you all. No, I'll be doing too much.
I need you to hear me just loud and clear. There are people in this world, inside our government, in the Epstein class, and most governments. There are people in this world who benefit from your fear. And it's not that they just want your fear. Your fear is a crucial part of their plan. People are reporting that they're seeing all kinds of crazy phenomena and shit. You know, animals like birds just falling out the sky all over the place, fucking fish. Just dead fish coming out of rivers and fucking out of the sea, fucking rivers of blood and shit. There's a precision, I think, to what you're hearing. It is very precise. It appeals to one's fear, but also appeals to one's superstition. And when I say superstition, I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about Christianity. I'm talking about the book of Revelations and the mark of the fucking beast. All right. You need to pay attention to this shit. You got Peter Thiel. He's always talking about this shit. And that's the number one motherfucker that you need to be suspicious of. Peter Thiel. Number two is Sam Altman. So when you start seeing some crazy shit, you start hearing some crazy shit, you start being told these things for which nobody's actually providing you any evidence. They're just providing you hearsay. You start seeing all this weird phenomena, people posting this shit on TikTok, Instagram, whatever social media, YouTube. You start seeing all this crazy shit. You need to ask yourself, who benefits from your fear? And I already told you, the Epstein class, Peter Thiel specifically, Sam Altman, Alex Karp. You need to be very suspicious of what the fuck anyone is telling you to be afraid of. You don't have to give these motherfuckers what they want. You don't have to give them what they want. I'm not saying to look away. I'm saying to recognize the reality for what it is. It's all coordinated. It's all part of the fucking plan. They want you enslaved. That's the goal. They want to kill off some of the population and they want you enslaved. That's why Donald Trump keeps sending out these cryptic messages talking about ending civilizations and shit. It's all part of the fucking plan. And you guys know what plan I'm talking about, right? You know exactly what plan I'm talking about. So, just stay on your P's and Q's, people. Don't buy the bullshit just because somebody who seems reputable said the shit. Question everything.
Well, y'all heard it. Okay, so I did look up the PayPal Mafia. Let me just show you all this picture. I'm going to read this article after I'm done with my live. Maybe I'll report on it later, but hold on. It's all nefarious. I don't know, Elon Musk. Who are the members of the PayPal Mafia? Okay, there they are right there. Put this phone off. Yep. Very interesting. Okay, so one more clip. They're saying that Canada is done with the United States. So let's get into it.
Major news out of Canada and a disastrous update for Donald Trump as Prime Minister Mark Carney just signaled that the days of Canada supporting the U.S. military are coming to an end. Watch this clip.
The days of our military sending 70 cents of every dollar to the United States are over.
This is yet another sign that our America First president, Donald Trump, has completely isolated the United States of America from our allies and from the rest of the world, and that the old days are completely over. This reminds me of Prime Minister Carney's speech at Davos when he said that there's a new world upon us. And if MAGA wanted to isolate China from the rest of the world and strengthen the United States of America, that plan has completely backfired, as Canada is now strengthening their relationship with China when it comes to trade, when it comes to alliances. America First turned out to mean America Last, as other countries around the world are going to be moving into the 21st century, and our country is going to be left in the dust. major.
All right. Well, this is certainly all nefarious, beloveds. Listen, I got to do some more research and figure what all is going on here. Okay. With that all being said, I think I'm gonna have to post some stuff to Rumble this week. I know I keep saying that and I don't because I get too busy, but I'm definitely gonna have to. With that all being said, I'm gonna conclude the broadcast. Everyone, please like the broadcast before you tune out, and don't forget to double check and make sure you're still subscribed. I saw they unsubscribed a couple of people yesterday at least. And so I will catch you all in the morning. I'm not coming back this evening. I have too much to do. All right. So I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this evening. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive and do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got